Families, Teamsters, 1932.org.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website and MBRradio.us. We got to bless the show before we get started. Let's go. When I was in my mother's womb, I had a calling on my life to do something in the glory of God and marry it like a wife. Commit myself to his word and never be led astray. And when it's all over, when he comes, I'll be glad to see that day in the morning time. All right, good evening and welcome to the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website, the station that leaves no listener behind. And yes, we have an app, so make sure you go download the app, whatever you are, Android or iOS. Go get the app and check out all the other talk shows here on KCAA Radio all day, Monday through Sunday, all times of the day. You'll find something to listen to. Catch me here on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Always here for you to have a great conversation. Today's episode is a long time coming. I've known Bill for quite a few years. I want to say back from Eagle Rock and Sight Waves area. So that's in like the 2004, 5, 6, somewhere around there. So he's here today to share some information with you, some very important topics. I've been working with him for the last couple of years, doing some high school tours with my sickle cell trait talks, and that's just been growing. So I got him here today to share something that's innovative, something that he's been up to for years, but it's now connected to another level of sports. And as you might see the soccer ball here, if you're watching us on camera. But today, before we get started, Youth Sunday. So again, I'm very grateful to be to deliver the youth messages at the New Earth Christian Church on second Sundays. I lost track. I think I'm about almost 3 years in doing that work, God's work, and again, I'm just blessed because I had no idea that was going to be a part of my life as far as sharing the gospel like that with our children and parents, even though that is a conversation that I really care about. But the opportunity is there, and so I'm very grateful to share that. Today's topic, and we've heard this conversation a lot, train up a child. There's scripture for that, to train up a child in the way they should go. So when they depart from you, it's like, but what does that mean, right? We hear it as a scripture, but what does it mean? And so I gave it a subtitle called Teach a Child How to Think, Not What to Think. And a lot of times as parents, and even all of us, we were somebody's child. Sometimes you didn't get heard by that parent. Sometimes there was just a one-way conversation, and you didn't get a chance to express what was going on with you, or maybe you had some input, and this is a grown person's conversation. Like, oh, now that's not right or wrong, good or bad, but we don't realize that what that does is that disconnects the child from us as a parent to the child. And the scripture that I used was Matthew 18, 2 through 4. And it was a period where Jesus was talking to some of the people, and they tried to shoo away the children. And in that passage, what he says to them is that, let those children come here, because you need to have your heart like the mind of a child to get into the kingdom. And so what he's saying is, if you remember being a child and you look at children, their minds are free to wonder and ask questions. They don't have the adult issues like us of all the disappointments and the shame and the embarrassment and the reasons why and the reasons why not in their heart. They're open to ask questions and ask why, with no reason. But sometimes as parents, we don't have the patience or whatever that is. And so we tell that child, go sit down, you ain't got time for that, blah, blah, blah. And that little fracture could be what's disconnecting us from our child to their parents. And then we look in society. I mean, you just look at the empirical truth on that. A lot of people are not as connected to their parents as they wish they were, right? And they don't say that out loud. Of course, I love my mom and dad, but they got on my nerve. But I had to go look and see why they were getting on my nerve. And honestly, it wasn't them. It was my perception, my interpretation, my perspective of what happened to me or what I thought happened to me in my past. So getting your mind back to the mindset of a child allows you to be able to have faith. You got to be able to believe there's things that ways of being that you got to be, that you can't have all that stuff in your heart getting in the way. Your subconscious mind is your biggest hater. It's not another person. It's how we talk to ourselves. And sometimes those fractures happen in our relationship with our parents. And so that was kind of the message there, not kind of, but that was the message there. And so that should be published probably in a couple of days. But very grateful to deliver that message to the children and to their parents so that we can start to heal our families, right? And this Father's Day. Father's Day weekend is coming up. And a lot of people have issues with their father. The father is the foundation of that family, right? And so if the father is broken, then how do you think the family's going to turn out? And if you don't believe me, look at the foundation of a house. If the foundation of that house is cracked, that house can be condemned. Doesn't matter how expensive it is, how beautiful that house is, how much it's cost, how much it's worth. If that foundation is cracked, that home can be condemned. And that's how we look at fathers. If that father's broken, then what do we think is going to happen to that family? So how do we restore fathers? Father is a role, it's not a person. So how do we restore the man, the male man? How do we restore our boys, our children? That's something that is near and dear to my heart because those are some of the things that I had to go back and work out in my past. So grateful for that message today. We're going to play our public service announcement, and then we're going to come back and get right into Mr. Bill Montgomery, who's here to share. He's a veteran as well, so we're going to go live before, during, and after service. But we got some hot topics to touch on before we get there. So this is the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Shout out to What's the Count.
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
It's about we're doing good. About time for a war cry, though. I think there's, I don't go nowhere unless I do the war. We need 1 minute to just kind of change the atmosphere. Yes.
This your boy Sam Peasy, Kingdom Saints and Ace and everybody in between. It's time to work. I'm here to wake the body up. 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 Preaching, teaching, prophets, preaching, souls that's lost. He paid the cost. I'm here to wake the body up. 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 Preaching, teaching, prophets, preaching, souls that's lost. You might have started in a trap with a sack, cause you was always told that the streets had your back. Well, that's not fact. Can I utilize this track? Tell you how it started, man, we going way back. It started in a garden with a man in his worship. Gave 2 commands, watch it and work it. God felt it wasn't good to be alone. Took from his rib, made his house a home. Along came the tempter, started conversation. Theology, there was no relation. But the serpent did something that was flagrant. Went around God and he ignored the statement. Then the eyes of them both came clear. Notice no clothes, introduction of fear. We returning the keys to the kingdom. Waking up the body, cause it's that season. I'm here to wake the body up. 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 Preaching, teaching, prophets, preaching. Those that's lost, he paid the focus, man. Ready for a holy fight. That Paul and Silas got me gigging, high stepping on them. Devil at my back because he know what team I'm repping for. God talk, squawk box, be the conduit. Joyful noise, praise the Lord, screaming, won't he do it? Come through, Judas, your nuisance, infiltrate the crew. Ruthless, useless, he still rose, thought you knew. Woo! I hear you talking now, spirit. Shine a light on my path, I'm dancing all in it. Praise back with conviction, yep, it's off in it. Celebrate the pearly gates, yep, we all win it. Forgive my sins and stride into my best life. To the end, pleasing God with my every try. To the darkness, leaving you with my last vibes. My, time for a war cry.
All right, welcome back to the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also, stream from the KCAA Radio website. Again, kcaaradio.com. If you're in your car right now and you got to get out, you listen to us on 106.5 or 1050 AM. Grab your device, type in kcaaradio.com, click listen live or watch live because we're in the studio tonight. My guest tonight, Bill, unlock.
Yeah,
All right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing? Yeah. Okay.
What's up?
Man, first of all, man, that song was off the hook.
We waking the body up.
Hey, first time I heard it, man, I was in the groove. That's a heater.
Yeah.
That's tight.
I actually met them when I was doing the Christian hip hop talk show on Dash. I was the one that was picking the music for the show, and I came across that track right there, man, and it spoke to me.
Hot.
And invited them to be a guest. Interviewed all three of them, and a lot of the things of why that song was written. They were all grieving from a loss of their mom or dad or both, and I was grieving in my space over my dad, and so that song connected me to them, and then that's when I found out even what was going on when they wrote that song.
Well, that's definitely a song that needs to go onto the campus with Prime Motivation. You know, we actually helped start Fat Joe back in the day. Believe it or not.
Kidding.
So we got to connect that. You know, Fry, you know how to connect it. So I like it.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for being here. Introduce yourself. Don't give it all away, just a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm CSI Bill. They high school students gave me that nickname because high school students, they're going to give you a nickname whether you like it or not. So if it's a good one, you may as well catch it. So
right.
I took it, and it's been about 8 years, and it basically stands for Common Sense Intelligence, which is something, Fran, that we've talked about for a few years. It's something you can teach.
Yeah, definitely can
teach. A lot of people may not agree with that, but in the Hidden Pioneers, through R&D, research and development, we found ways that you can teach that and bring the common sense back.
Yeah. A lot of times that conversation, as you said, is challenged because people don't think you can teach common sense, you know, but at the root of common sense for me, I say, you know, you got so many different households, so many different backgrounds. Each environment has their own kind of common sense for those things that they're surviving life from, right? And so what's common in one home might not be common in this home, but it doesn't mean it's not the same conversation.
Correct. Well, you talked about, fathers.
Yeah.
Okay, and that really is a start. If you as a father, if you don't have common sense and you're not teaching it, then of course that's one of the biggest problems.
Yeah. All right, Bill. So I want to touch before we go back in time. What is going on with the soccer world that you want to talk about?
A lot is going on. First of all, we got 2 world stages coming to United States for the first time ever. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know about it. And, I'm here to kind of let people know the what, the why, the who, the how, because I have that knowledge, comes straight from God. It doesn't belong to me anyways, but it just so happened and I'm blessed to have it. And thank you for having me, come on here because you need a voice. You need a way to distribute, the truth. Yeah. And I'm happy to talk about the truth any chance I get. So the soccer world is it's here, but it's not here, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's more from Europe, obviously, and we want to bring it over here. But I have some concerns that I want to address to make sure we're ready for it. Yeah. And that it stays. We talked about that.
Yeah,
so it's here.
So the first bite of the apple is your relationship to soccer. Let's create that context. Okay. What is your relationship soccer?
Well, I started at 7 years old, and the Russian family across the street are the ones who took me in, mentored me. In fact, it was Paul Ziegler, Jack Ziegler, and Tommy Ziegler. It was three Russian boys. One was 1 year younger than me. Jack was 2 years ahead, and Paul was 5 years ahead. And they're really good. And I didn't know anything about the game. And after 2 weeks sitting down watching, because I was afraid, because they were pretty good. I'm just looking at this thing, but after a while they kept saying, "Hey," and I was like, "Okay, why not? Otherwise I'd have just sat there, right?" Because they wasn't going to stop playing.
Right.
And so I started playing around it, and then I became pretty good, and I actually fell in love with the game, and I've been playing some kind of way, either playing, reffing, or teaching ever since 7 years old. So that was my first start.
So this big thing that's coming to United States, Trump even got involved in the conversation. So
Yeah,
president.
yeah. So first of all, we Americans and all over the world, they say money makes the world go round. And it's going to bring a lot of money to the United States, millions. And I don't know exact, but between the social media and the dollars, it's a lot of numbers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so, but again, you got to be careful with the numbers, because you got to be ready for it. And how do you educate people on the why?
Right.
So that's what I'm here to talk to the audience tonight about, the why. We actually have some solutions and some resources. Farron, you came out to that awesome event, that tournament. Talk to you were there. What'd you see?
No. So I show up and there's soccer games going on this football field, man. You have the parents, you have the girls from the different camps, the different teams. You were set up with the STEM conversation. I was introduced to the principal of that, like that. When I saw these little girls playing, competing, it was like, okay, there's more to this than just soccer.
Yes.
Because we come from that background of from emotional intelligence to leadership, to education, the identity crisis that can happen as an athlete. So I'm looking at all that taking play on the field.
And it was you also met the superintendent. He came out. Remember that? And
was that the one he was reffing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he reffed the final game.
That was a superintendent. And because you have to go back before you can move forward. And we Americans, we've set up, we don't want to go back.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the problems that we're having, because you have to go back.
Yeah.
And as you can see, going back could be really good if you have the right people in your hearts and to the right place and you're following God's word, right? So what you saw was a product of, you talked about believing, okay? And, the Hidden Pioneers, which we'll get into later, we have a simple ABC philosophy, A for awareness, and then B, believe, and the C, common sense. And we got a few more A's and B's and C's we'll get later. But that's basically, you got to believe in something and kind of stick to it. And that's what you saw when you went out there, because they didn't even believe that you can bring STEM into a soccer. And we're definitely going to get into that, because STEM and STEAM is a big part of soccer. And I'm going to explain what that means.
Yeah. And so for the sports show, I have a segment called Penalty Shot. That's for my soccer. Did you not pursue soccer, or you learned the basics and became a ref, or did you have a soccer career in there anyway?
Oh man, I love when people ask me that, because you don't want to toot your own horn. But no, I at an early age I played high school soccer, and actually I was advanced. I was really good. So my freshman and sophomore year, where I should have been playing varsity, I had to sit the bench and let the politics back then. Okay. And actually, Fran, I really don't even like talking about this subject, but there was some differences, and there was some color skin issues, and you could say the word prejudice going on. Okay. But I didn't really know it so much back then, believe it or not. I guess it was just the love for it. My dad instilled me in the team. In fact, he told me from day one, you're not a quitter, because I would come and say, Dad, it's not fair. And your friends, of course, are telling you, man, you should quit.
Yeah.
You're better than them. Quit.
Yeah.
But my dad, being in the Marines, and I bless my dad. He's actually the one who introduced me to the Russian family.
Yeah.
So again, back to the fathers.
Yeah.
See, I can't take the credit. It's my dad. But yeah, I played high school, and so my junior senior year, I basically was a starter, did very well, and I had a lot of obstacles to face and a lot of peer pressure because, my high school was 80% Caucasian. Okay, about 15% African American, another 5% other, meaning that there was very few Hispanics and Asians back in 82.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and this is Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay.
Oh my.
Right. And then later on, when I came out to California, that was a whole, different deal. But for me, I also hung around with the Filipino family. Okay. That was across the street too. Yeah. Okay. And so that's why I really fell in love with the Philippines because they call it FOB. Okay, you know what that stands for?
Fresh off the boat.
Fresh off the boat. Got it for our course. You know that. So, but again, those terms back then, we can laugh at them now, but a lot of people, they don't know about those terms. Yeah. But those terms are still like current today. Yeah. Now, one of the things that I'm doing is that I'm bringing a lot of those terms back because the new generation, they will take the same term and call it something else.
Oh my goodness, that's today, bro. All day.
Yeah, and the parents, we just let them do it, and then we change. I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's not what that means. So again, through sports that's a way to really get connected because at a young age, then of course I played on the All-Army soccer team. Okay, another accomplishment that I'm very proud of. Because I really want to be a professional soccer player.
All Army soccer.
All Army soccer.
Wow.
I sure did. I did that. And then I wanted to go to Germany. I wanted to get orders because back then I know that I needed to go to Europe to elevate my game.
To get that, yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd already passed the Russian family that taught me. You know what I'm saying? Now I needed to take it to another level.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The military, they wouldn't give me those orders. So I got out. That's one of the reasons why I got out. Not to mention the fact that they had started, even back then, they started softening the rules, changing things. That I was already getting political, right? Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna leave. So I did that. Had a couple Marine buddies stationed in El Toro. They kept saying, hey, man, come out to California. They were painting that picture. And I'm like, California, Hollywood. And this was back when they would show the commercials, all the good stuff, Magnum PI.
Oh, yeah.
You see the palm trees? Like, man, I'm going to California. So
it ain't all palm trees and string bikinis, let me tell you. It is not.
Right. So that's what I did. And then, of course, I got a scholarship for soccer in college. So I did that.
Wow.
I remember LA Times came and did a full-page article. That's big back in the day before social media.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's
how we got news.
Yeah, you get LA Times articles, and I still got that full sheet coverage. And then I played on semi-pro teams out in California. Never made it into a professional league like the Galaxy or things like that, but my time had passed, you know what I'm saying? I accepted that. So that's when I got into reffing. And then I started giving back to make sure that the kids don't experience some of the things that I experienced. Yeah. Okay, so there you have it. But yeah, soccer that's my thing, man. I love the sport, and I can teach it, and I want to teach it in the education system with stream soccer.
Okay, and we're going to get right into that. After we play our public service announcement, we got a sickle cell trait and, of course, Comigo. Make sure you check this PSA out. Again, it's dedicated for veterans. However, it's a human being flaw that we all deal with some type of anxiety, stress, can't escape it. So for some of us who don't want to take drugs and medications, there's a device that you can purchase. We're actually working to get this into the VA so veterans can get it as a prescription, right, and not have to pay for it. This is Comigo. Shout out.
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Comigo. Comigo is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Comigo decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Comigo.com to learn how you can get Comigo through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
Do you remember studying sickle cell in biology class? What's the Count on Sickle Cell Trait Prevention is here to bring you awareness, education, and prevention conversations around the risk factors of this inherited gene. Visit WDCONSCT.org.
All right, welcome back to the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio. That's right, that's my cause right there, sickle cell trait. If you have questions, visit WDCONSCT.org or visit me at WDC on SCT on Instagram or at Farron Dozier on all platforms. Very important conversation, especially around athletics, military, exercising, and collapse. If you don't know my story, I collapsed in the military from that inherited gene and rhabdomyolysis, and so I'm an advocate for that. There have been some deaths still occurring to this day that people are dying and collapsing from sickle cell trait exertion with rhabdo and are not aware. But also, April was Rhabdo Awareness Month, and I had different people come in and share their stories. And even today, currently, children are experiencing rhabdo because of the influenza flu-like virus. And so that's causing the bodies to express rhabdo, the muscle breakdown, and the proteins break down into the bloodstream can cause renal failure, and in the worst cases, cardiac arrest and sudden death. So very important conversation. Most people think sickle cell trait is a black gene and you just turn it off. Well, guess what? Hispanics, the Latin community is number 2, but you could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, Asian descent, doesn't matter. It's a bloodline conversation, not a skin color, right? So if you want information, WDCONSCT.org. Check that out. All right, Bill, man. So we were into the last segment talking about the STEM and the sports. So how do you see with what's coming to the United States in July, right? And the program that you do with Hidden Pioneers in the STEM and the STEAM programs, how do you see how we can mix that together so when they take off after this big extravaganza is completed, that there can be some impact, right? A footprint left in this conversation. So
right. Well, right now, I'm definitely wanting to and trying to get a hold of the new Secretary of Transportation, and also President Trump and the administration. Since he's an advocate, and you saw the video that he was talking about all these different countries. He was
excited about that.
But if we can get a hold of the administration and show them the results, because we have the results. I think, and now's the time. I don't want to wait 3 months.
Right.
I want to wait 6 months.
After
now,
the fact. Yeah.
Right. So all you listeners out there, if you know how to get a hold of executives and administration, please get a hold of me. You can hiddenpioneers@gmail.com. Everything's Hidden Pioneers, Facebook, Instagram. A website is www.hiddenpioneers.com. That's how you can get a hold of us, and you can see what we're doing. the Stream Soccer program is great because it stands for Science, Technology. We added the R for research, and I'll explain that too. And then engineering, arts, and math. Talked to your engineer. He was a cool cat. We talked way back. That was great talking to him about the palace and things like that. But that research, that's the NASA part, because NASA actually is a research organization. A lot of people don't know that that's what they do. In fact, NASA may need to think about changing their name to that because for years, this is a true story, Farron, I was attempted to explain the school system about NASA, and they just weren't hearing it, you know. And I wasn't getting that much support from NASA per se because they're not really part of STEM. You see, and so for years I've been attempting to talk to the government at a high level because the schools they're not listening. You see what I mean? And I know I'm the chosen one because how I got connected up with NASA in the first place to my cousin Katherine Johnson. You know, it took her 30 years to be heard. And that was because of a book. And so what happened is I got motivated to start writing a book. I'm about 90% done, okay? And the Lord, and maybe this, getting this into the schools, this Stream Soccer, that might be that final chapter to close. You see what I mean? He knows what he's doing. 3 years now, we bought it to the Corona Norco School District. So we had 3 years. Every year it's gotten better. You came out just this past year. You saw it. So we can scale up. We have the recipe. We have the cake. We just need to put it in the oven. It's not we're trying to do it. It's, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, wouldn't you try? No, we're doing it. It's just we can scale up. We don't want to scale down. Because another thing I want to let people know as far as our people, you know, African Americans, we're changing the culture and the image. Why, Farron? Because we don't think we belong to play soccer. You see, I understand what they were coming from because if I wouldn't have got taught by the Russians,
how would you have gotten
Here we go.
involved?
So again, we're changing the culture and the image. Now, the first thing I would tell our people, it's a lot of running. That's the first thing I would say. Okay, and about soccer, there's no timeouts. Okay, if you're a starter and you're playing, it's 45 minutes straight. Okay, if you come out, guess what? You can't come back in. Oh yeah. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know.
Oh yeah. So, your stamina has to be on point. Okay, and so I give soccer players a lot of credit because there's no timeouts. That's why when you see a player when he goes down and gets hurt, the coach will come out. He'll do everything he can to keep him on the field. in fact, he might sit down for 2-3 minutes because once he comes out, he doesn't come back in.
Wow.
Right. So, and a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
You see, but so I would explain that. But back to your point, there's ways that you can increase the stamina by how you exercise, how you run, how you stretch. Those are the things that, guess what, you have to teach young adults.
Right.
Okay. So again, back to education. So if you're not teaching it, this is why people don't understand certain things and they'll run out there and they'll get hurt. And so people, I'm not doing it, man. You know, someone's going to kick me, I'm going to get hurt. So, So anyways, the education that I have, I'm certainly willing to share it, and I have been sharing it, and we're making a difference. And our people, African Americans here in this country, we can be very good at soccer if someone like us explains it. And that's what we're doing.
You said you want to scale up.
Yes.
What you're doing in Corona and not scale down. Elaborate more on the scale up.
Yeah, scaling up means that, well, we're ready for nationwide, okay? So a nationwide tour looks like with Prime Motivation, okay, and also you coming in because now we can have all the components coming in, okay? And if a school wants to just focus on the soccer, we can do that. If they want to focus on mental health, things like that, they want to focus on the transportation technology piece, the cars, we got that. So as the hidden pioneers, we actually, I say we're kind of like Walmart, but Nordstrom's customer service, if you will, okay? We're 24/7. We even Walmart cut back on their times. I'm not sure if you noticed, but a lot of them used to be 24 hours. Now they're not. But Hidden Pioneers, because we have the people.
Yeah.
And people are the most important, Ron. And this transportation and technology piece, that's what led me to the whole stream soccer, because movement from point A to point B, then you have to explain what that means. It means starting with your feet. So it means if Dad says, go to the store and get me some bread, it's not what, why, wait. You see what I'm saying? Move your feet. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. We need to go back to those days, but again, you have to explain why.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you said, which is, again, important for me as I've grown and developed beyond the sickle cell trait talks, is that sense of belonging, right? And I share with you that, we can go to different schools and teach all this education, introduce the STEM and the knowledge to the children, but if they're living in a space in their environment that I don't belong and I'm not good enough, or I'm not, they're not going to even want to attempt to try that, attempt to go into transportation, attempt to go into soccer, because of how their environment has maybe taught them, or what they watch on social media nowadays, or what people tell them. You can't be a soccer player. You're black. You can't do these things. You can't be you can't go to NASA working. All the things that society says that you can't do, or they label us that you can't do. One has to become emotionally strong enough to say, you know what? Well, I appreciate that, but I'm gonna go see what they talk about, and I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna go for it and see what happens. That's the part that I believe that even when it comes to the identity of an athlete, you might find somebody that's playing soccer that has some STEM qualities that they want to go into, that never thought that they had to use soccer as a way out of the area, but could also go to school and have that STEM education as well. There's so many different parts to
Right. And that's what's great about this new stream soccer. It brings it into a sport, which now is more acceptable with the administrators, because now it's not just a sport.
Yeah.
You see, now you have that whole science, technology, research, which makes sense because it's all part together.
Yeah.
And so I know that the Lord allowed me as a chosen one, because I've been playing soccer all my life, and I didn't really find this out, Farron, until like 52 years old.
Yeah.
And it was because of the NASA connection. And as I started doing more R&D, everything started coming together. Now, Adidas went to NASA, to perfect the ball, put it in a wind tunnel. Oh, yeah, it's the whole 9 yards.
Oh, wow.
And now the ball is now...
is it aerodynamic?
Absolutely it is. How'd you know that, Ron? That's exactly what it is. And they put it in a wind tunnel, because before they call it like a knuckleball, where the ball would, go all crazy.
Yeah.
Now, and Adidas was smart enough to go to NASA, contract them out, and now we have a perfect ball.
Nah.
Yes, sir. And speaking of that, this ball right here, that I have, that's the whole STEM, the science, technology, research, and I'm proud to have that, because I'm kind of one of the only ones, so I feel special, and it kind of goes with, again, another sign from God. Yeah. Because if you'd have told me I'd have a custom ball from Japan that Americans made, I'd have been like, I would have known that.
Yeah.
So here we are, and I wanted to bring that to show the world and you, because this is something that is STEM soccer altogether.
Yeah. There's, how can I say this? I look at us as veterans, right, and our identity. A lot of athletes have that identity in sports to have that sense of belonging. But then not everyone goes to college from that sport. So there are 40,000 plus kind of jobs you can have, even connected to the sports world, that most people don't even think about. And I believe, again, your stream program allows those students to get engaged in other conversations, to move forward in life, and not to, because if the soccer career doesn't happen, as for me in the military, well, who am I? If I've been playing soccer for all these years, and me like serving for 24 years, and then that career was over, I'm lost. So how do you see that transition even for athletes?
Well, Hidden Pioneers was born with the mission, with just that, to bring different fields, different career opportunities to the campus. See, now you had talked about earlier, before we started, you got to go to them these days. It's different now because of the social media, that pocket computer. Okay. Are we willing to go to them on their turf and spend some time?
Right.
You talk about that quality time.
Right.
Okay. Now you got to be cool and you got to do something that they like.
Right.
And that's where the cool cars, the soccer choices, different things, music, as you know. I told you before, we had Fat Joe back in the day. You know, now he's a big time. But the question is, are these people coming back and giving back?
Right.
So the Fat Joes and the Snoop Dogs and all the people, we got to go back and get our kids back. And it can be done.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It can be done. So this is a call out to everybody. You know, Hidden Pioneers has a program. Farron, you've been out there several times. You do a great job talking with the students, and they respond.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not like, especially if you have an organization that has been doing it, that understands it, like the Hidden Pioneers and Prime Motivation, we're ready. And that's where we're ready to scale up because we've been in the trenches. We know it works. So let's go.
Again, Bill, thank you, man, for hanging out with me tonight. Again, this is the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Hey, make sure you get that app. If you are Apple, iOS, Android, get that app and listen to all of our other different talk shows here on the platform. Again, you can catch me Wednesdays on MB Radio. That's right, MB Radio on Wednesdays, the Farron Dozier Show, Trench Talk Edition. That's another level of military and variety show that I have on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure to go to mbradio.us and check us out over there as well. They're also giving veterans a voice. So a lot of my brothers and sisters, like myself, who came to podcasting back then was called Internet Radio, Blog Talk in 2009, they're finding their what's next. They're finding something that they can share their stories, their experiences on. And these kind of platforms that we are finding that help us stay connected and stay related to other veterans, right? So MB Radio, shouts out to them. They're giving veterans a voice. Again, this is the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. This is Call Me Go. Shout us out, what's the count?
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
Chosen one was evident. Smack to my face, gut punch, take my medicine. Sick to my stomach, no calling for my mama. Drama-filled combos with the father, broken promises. Asking me to hold on, not knowing if I can go on. Been waiting for so long, sick and tired of the same song. Are you really kidding me? Burning third degree emergency, prepare for surgery. This is hurting me, certainly. Close the curtains, purchasing the final ticket nervously. Purging, rethink, seriously? Trying to take the higher road, feeling what's revealed while lies told. Hours so now I'm wondering if you're listening. Please close the distance and please grant my wishes. Please tell me what I'm missing. Come on, Lord, you gotta be kidding me. Lord, you gotta be kidding me. Lord, you gotta be kidding me. You can't tell me this the way that they supposed to be. Come on, Lord, you gotta be kidding me. Lord, you gotta be kidding me. Lord, you gotta be kidding me. You can't tell me this the way that they supposed to be. Man, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Bone breaker. Come for me begging favors, comparing to my neighbor. Filthy, unworthy, still turning to the savior. Seat cushions in the pews, rarely played them. Yet with a straight face, I say we close related. That's crazy. Hypocrite nitwit with a Hippocratic oath. Thick skin, help cope and fight tight and new.
All right, welcome back to the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Again, Bill Montgomery's here, sharing the stream, plus soccer. I'm sure we can connect the stream to other sports as well. That's the plan.
That's the plan. And
Right.
with your help, man, you got the basketball and stuff like that. You know,
Oh, yeah, we ain't talking about the ABA
but
stuff.
This soccer thing, you know, it's the largest sport in the world.
Yeah,
So
it is large.
I'm glad I was able to start there, and the Lord was able to give me the blessing to play it for so many years, and that really gave me a place. And I know we didn't talk about it, but that really kind of helped form me the person I am, because
Yeah.
I was a young, skinny little kid, and that soccer really gave me. I mean, people. one
I'm
thing I know
saying
about
that's
people,
that. That's,
if you're good at something, people they like you.
oh yeah, that's that's where we talk about the whole identity and being the sense of belonging. I mean, a lot of us connect to sports for that sense of belonging, and it's so important. But we don't realize the other side of that is when that when that sports ends and your identity
Right.
has been so engulfed in that sport,
Right.
then
It can
who
hurt.
are you?
Right.
Outside of that,
Right.
and then that's where the depression, the anxiety, the stress, the suicide ideation.
Where's that plan B?
Where's that?
or C?
Yeah, exactly. So the stream, for me, the stream is important because it allows that athlete to not forget who they are as a person, because they might care about something else,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
you bring those together,
Yes.
and you live your life with those, so you don't get lost
Right.
in one or the other.
Right. Right.
Before we get out of here, I want to ask you, besides finances, what's missing? Like, not what's right or wrong, but like what's missing that if you had this piece, it would be like, okay, we good to go.
Funding, awareness, and they kind of go hand in hand, because
Yeah.
you have to be aware in the numbers.
Right.
Okay. Social media, word of mouth. Okay.
Right.
I'm never gonna leave out word of mouth, and that's why radio is big.
Yeah. Oh, still, terrestrial radio is still number one.
And yes, and what we're doing right now, if I had a platform every day of the week, and consistency.
Yeah.
You see, that's the
because you
key.
gotta
So-
have that.
And
Yeah.
that's going to bring the funding.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can say funding's number one, but how are you going to get the funding unless people know who you are and what you're
Exactly.
doing?
So the awareness piece is
The
still
awareness.
number one.
And,
okay.
and let me talk about the ABCs real quick, if I can.
Yeah, you got it.
So before I talked about the ABCs, okay, and I just gave you 1A, 1B, and 1C. Now I'm going to give you all three.
Okay.
So the first A is awareness. You have to be aware of what's going on and be aware of your surroundings too. Okay. The next A is agree. You got to get people to agree.
Right.
Because they might be aware of something, but if they don't agree,
Yeah.
like the Democrats and Republicans,
Right.
that's why it takes so long to get something passed. Okay?
Right.
And then now once you agree, Farron, are you going to love this because you're a man that takes this
Yeah.
action. Action required. Once you're aware, then you agree. Someone's got to do the work.
Somebody gotta do the work.
So let's take action. Okay.
Yeah.
So then the B's real quick. The B, back to the basics. Okay. We don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Okay. Then believe.
Okay.
Believe in it. Okay. And then that next B, okay, is best practices.
Okay.
See, not average practice. Okay, not no practice, because we don't like to practice, right?
Yeah.
We want to
Practice.
show up.
We talk about practice.
even game players, even the best.
and,
Okay, but again, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe's, all the people, they're practicing on their own. When you go back and look, people don't really understand it until they go back. These guys practice 24/7. That's what makes them the best.
3-4 times a day.
Okay? Now the C, the first C, communication.
Okay, we talked about that one.
We talked about that.
Off the air.
That's huge. Okay,
Right.
And then the next C is you communicate through common sense.
Okay,
See,
we're gonna work that one out.
okay, and then that next one,
Create the relatedness
I
and the
love this
common
word,
sense.
Farron. Cool.
Cool.
Let me break down cool. Calm, obedient, outstanding, and loving.
There
All
it is.
4 words in the Bible. Okay, so can you just imagine if we were to bring back cool and explain what it is?
Yeah.
Right now it's about 20%.
Yeah.
Okay, and 80% people are saying, guess what word?
What?
Fool. Yo, fool. What up,
Yeah.
fool?
What's
Hey,
up,
fool.
fool?
Okay.
Yeah. What's up? Yeah. What's up,
right?
fool? Yeah.
So, Farron, I would love to get the 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, even 50% on our scale is still an F.
Yeah.
Right? But it's better than 20%. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm a realist. Okay.
All right.
So help me get, and we can get through it through this radio.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You see what I'm saying? So those are the ABCs of the
get
Hidden
that first
Pioneers.
A.
And thank you for letting me share that.
Shouts out before we get out of here. Who you
Shouts
wanna shout
out. First of all, I think my 2 daughters, Chanel, Sarah, they might be listening.
All right.
Yeah, okay. And from what I like about you, man, we get along because we have a lot of that same stuff with the daughters, the mixture going on.
Yes.
We've had some serious conversations at the Denny's, you know. We got a lot of respect for each other.
Yes.
And our daughters, they still don't even know it yet. But later, I really want to connect them up.
For sure.
Okay. All the Hidden Pioneers, Rodney and Rippy,
Rodney.
Chris FM, my roommate,
Yeah.
Flo, I hope your leg's doing good, and just all the people that do support what we're doing. Bob Roses, I just came from, he got in the Hall of Fame today, right before here. So Hidden Pioneers doing a lot. Emmeline King, first female designer for a motor company.
Yeah.
It can go on and on. Farron, you're Hidden Pioneer.
Low key hidden pioneer.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody real quick. Soccer, that's my thing. CSI Bill, I'm out. Thank you very much.
Again, thank you for listening in. This is the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Again, make sure you go to farrond.com to catch up with all the stuff I'm doing in the community. As he mentioned, I got to drop this real quick before I go. The IA Hounds are coming back this season. That's right. The Inland Empire Hounds are coming back with a campaign called For the Love of Dogs. I'm dedicating this season to my boxer, Daisy, who I had to put down a couple years back and really haven't dealt with the grieving around that conversation. So I'm finding a space to share that with the community, and I want you to come out and share your stories about your dogs. We're looking for businesses from breeders to grievance counseling around pets for you to join our campaign. We're looking for nonprofits to contribute to, because we're going to raise funds. We're going to raise whatever you need to get your nonprofit to keep it going for those who foster dogs. So the IA Hounds, we're back this season. They were number 10 out of 150 teams in the ABA, the American Basketball Association, where Dr. J came from. Yes, we have 3 teams there. This season, we're keeping the Hounds in play for having such a great season last year. But the campaign is called For the Love of Dogs. At IA Hounds ABA on Instagram and at iahounds.com. iahounds.com for the website. Brand new website coming back. So again, thank you for listening in to Farron Dozier Show. Shout out to What's the Count. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes. In moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Comigo.com to learn how you can get Comigo through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
CAA.